Hello students, welcome for the course of MBA Semester 4 International Human Resource Management. Today is our lecture number 123 and the topic of our today's discussion is Introduction to IHRM, means Introduction to International Human Resource Management. So, in this session, we are going to discuss some basic concepts about international HRM. So, the primary objective of our today's session is help to understand the introduction to international HRM and how HRM has been defined particularly from international perspective, and there is one model that is called as Morgan's model of IHRM that we are going to discuss in this session. So the contents of our today's session are Introduction to IHRM, Morgan's IHRM model, expatriate, that expatriate are nothing but the international assignees, or we will call them as an international employees. Types of employees in IHRM means expatriate. Okay. Difference between domestic HRM and international HRM. Factors influencing the global work environment. IHRM complexity and international relocation of employees means the expatriate. So these various topics that we are going to discuss in our today's session. Let us start some discussion using the basics of human resource management. Okay, prior to start the introduction to IHRM, when we are working in any organization wherever personnel are also working, so personnel are the very important assets for any organization, and they will be called as a very important resource for any organization. So it is quite necessary to channelize them appropriately and motivate them. That is an important duty and as well as a function of the management to so as to assign the appropriate jobs to them and look after their benefits in the form of using an appropriate manpower planning. So here we are using some basic aspects of that personnel management, okay, wherever we will call them as a human resource management. So this human resource management is nothing but the organizational activities of managing and directing the human resource towards achieving certain objectives. So whatever forms of personnel are working in organization, okay, they are being effectively managed and directed, okay, so that they can be converted into human capital formation by means of achieving some organizational objective. So here in HRM we are dealing with some basic activities, okay, that may be related with the management of the human resource, wherever we will include recruitment, selection, training and development, performance appraisal, dismissal, okay, managing promotions and so on. We will also include some other activities in this human resource management, okay, that may be related with compensation and other benefits and as well as industry relations, okay, and complete human resource planning with respect to staffing functions, recruitment, selection, placements, okay, including some performance management, training and development. So these activities are being primarily conducted in any of the organization, okay, whenever the HR related activities are conducted within an organization domestically, okay, that is called as a domestic HRM. So there is no such difference in between at all, okay, HRM and the domestic HRM, okay. We are talking about the IHRM. Okay, IHRM is nothing but we will call him as an International Human Resource Management or International HRM. So while dealing with the international HRM related activities, here also we are conducting the similar kind of activities as we were previously discussed, okay, in the concept of HRM, but at certain international level organizational perspective. Okay, so whenever the HRM activities are being planned in such a way so as to manage the human resource at international level, okay, so various HR related activity, recruitment, selection, planning, development, training and development, uh, performance appraisal, compensation and benefit, okay, industry relation, okay, at international level, okay, at international level, particularly across the national borders, okay, if somebody has been working in any international firms or any foreign firms, okay, so the employees those are working in these international firms, okay, those has been managed particularly by means of using the functions of that international HRM. So IHRM, what does it include basically? Okay, this will include uh, the employees. Okay, those who are working in the international firms. Okay, primarily here we are dealing with their recruitment, selection, training and development, performance appraisal and dismissal done at international level, and additional activities that may be related with global skill management, expatriate management, and so on. Here, the new word that is called as an expatriate. That expatriate are nothing but the international employees, okay, or any international assignees, those who have been assigned any particular kind of job in any international firms. So here, already many of the firms, those who are being facing any dearth of the appropriate kind of skill, so here we should have to also work on the global skill management by means of using an uh, skill acquisitions, okay, or talent acquisitions. So in this way we are working in international HRM related activities. Focusing on the similar kind of activity, we are just extending this HRM concept to the IHRM concept, okay, by means of working very broadly, particularly in the global perspective. So any particular multinational corporation or any international firm, what exactly they are looking for, okay, they are looking for the procurement, allocation and utilization of human resource in a multinational corporation, and we do require, okay, the very effective form of integration and differentiation of HR activities in any foreign company. So in any foreign company there are different sorts of employees those are working, okay, they belong to different socio-cultural background, okay, they came from the different countries. So here we are dealing with some very important functions of that IHRM. The first one is called as procuring, okay, here we are recruiting them, selecting them and allocating some appropriate jobs and other responsibilities in the organization, and managing this human resource so that they can be converted into a human capital formation and to achieve the objectives of any international corporations by means of integrating their activities and differentiation of HR related activities at different locations, and primarily directed so as to work these workforce very effectively to achieve the overall objectives of any multinational corporation. So all over, when we are talking about that IHRM, okay, IHRM exactly what exactly it is. So it is the function, okay, it is the procurement, allocation, utilization and motivation of human resource in international business. While conducting any international business activities, okay, here we are primarily focusing on expanding the business sizes and scope for the future businesses. So simultaneously the entrepreneurs and businessmen, okay, they are locating the businesses across the national borders, okay, and they are starting some new manufacturing activity in some certain other countries. So they to run the businesses in other country, here do require procurement of the employees at international level, allocating some appropriate jobs to them, and utilizing that particular human resource continuously by means of giving some sort of motivation, okay, or effective sort of compensation to them, so as to achieve the objectives of the international business. When we are planning such a kind of activity to achieve some organizational activities at international level, that time we are going to manage the IHRM in the multinational context, okay. So that IHRM activities of any multinational firms, or any firm, those who are working at a international level, those who are involved in the international business and dealing with the basic functions of IHRM, that is called as procurement, allocation, utilization and motivation of human resource, that will be called as what? The international HRM. In international HRM, okay, employees, those who are being coming from the different countries, okay, they are belonging to, okay, different socio-cultural background. So here in case of international HRM, we need to deal with the cross-cultural management, okay. uh, that cross cultural management is a kind of activities, okay, wherever the different forms of employees, those who are coming from different countries, okay, they belong to different countries, their socio cultural perspectives are differ. So here how does any particular international employee or assignee, that they will work or they will be retained in the same organization, okay, continuously, so that they can contribute their efforts for the betterment of the organizations. Here we are also dealing with comparative HR and IR systems, okay. So many of the corporations, there are some big international firms, say for example Google, Microsoft, okay, Apple, they are using a very effective and sophisticated form of web based information system. So here we will call as what? HRIS, okay, human resource information system. So all these information systems, okay, that are being interlinked with in achieving the IHRM functions of procurement, allocation, utilization and motivation of the human resource. So a comparative HR and IR system and cross cultural management, okay, in connection with IHRM related activities in any multinational context, okay, that will be the part of that IHRM related activities. Going further, international HRM activities, okay, here as we discuss, here we are dealing with the international employees, okay, we will call them as an expatriate, okay, that is called as expatriate managers, okay, expatriate managers, or these are the international assignees. So we are dealing with how to manage that international assignees or managers in connection with achieving the overall organizational objective by means of using the HRM functions. So here we are dealing with multiculturalism. Okay, these employees are belonging to different culture, different background, their different negotiation skills and communication skills. So that may be the matter of connection that would comes under this international HRM. Their performance management, that performance management criteria would differ from country to country. Dispersion, okay, as they will be differing in their different knowledge, skills, experiences, okay. Simultaneously here there is one aspect that is called as international taxation. That taxation system also differ in varieties of countries, okay, and foreign cultural orientation, okay. How does any of the employee, those who are being adopting the overall national culture of any of the another country, okay, and they are being residing in that particular country, so foreign cultural orientation is one of the very important strategy over here, okay. How does the employee, that particular expatriate, okay, they can relocate in some other country and they will work for the betterment of the organization. IHRM is the study how HR processes are conditioned by type of employees, different country environment and multinational organization philosophies and their stages of evaluation. Okay, so in IHRM related activities, here we are focusing on different kind of employees. These employees are belonging to different countries, different socio-cultural environment. Okay, they are also differ in terms of their skills, knowledge, and experiences. Okay, as they belong to the different countries. Okay, their socio-cultural environment would also differ. Okay, even their multinational organizational philosophies wherever they are working. Okay, the philosophies of the organization, their overall organizational structure. Okay, how does the mm, overall working culture in that international organization and their philosophies. Okay, that will direct the flow of IHRM related activities. This will also include some sort of industry relation activities also, wherever we are going to manage the industry relation and labor management practices and policies in some different countries. As we are familiar with the Indian culture. Okay, in India there are different rules and regulation to direct certain you direct to the labor force. Okay, or workforce. So industrial dispute act would be there. Okay, and number of other labor related acts should be there. Okay, so here we are dealing with, okay, industry relation activities. So any company, those who are being starting some any new manufacturing plant, suppose in India, or suppose they were operated in India, so they must have been familiar with the Indian rules and regulations also. Okay, that are being related with the labors. Okay, so industry relation that will be helpful in maintaining the good moral among the employees and to remove the causes of disputes within an organization. Similarly, whenever we are directing any kind of activities, okay, towards any international firms, okay, we should have to also deal with the international labor relation activities across the another countries. Okay, so we need to get familiar with the, okay, labor, the different kind of labor rules and regulations of the another country wherever that employee has been working. Okay, and in this way we are going to manage the overall HR related activities at international level. Now whenever we are talking about that international HRM related activities, so here primarily we are using one of the model, okay, that deals with that international HRM activity, and that model is called as Morgan's IHRM model. Now this is the Morgan's IHRM model. So you will find out there are some three important functions has been located over here: procurement, allocation, and utilization of the human resource in in various countries. Wherever we are in various countries, host country, home country, and other means, suppose say the third country. Okay, and where we are managing the different kind of employees. Okay, that employees are nothing but called as an expatriate. So here the employees are, okay, host country nationals. Okay, the second one is parent country national, and third country national. So these are called as the type of employees, countries, and human resource related activities within an organization. So in any IHRM functions, okay, or any whenever we are going to define the IHRM from international perspective. Okay, so IHRM function is nothing but procurement, allocation, and utilization of human resource, that those who are working in different countries. Okay, and dealing with some different kind of expatriates. So managing the different kind of employees or expatriates. Okay, and their procurement, allocation, utilization in some different countries. Okay, that is called as what, international human resource management. While defining the IHRM by means of using Morgan's model, so it is called as what, HR activities of the procurement, induction, training, allocation, planning, compensation, employee relation, performance management influenced by type of employees, business environment, political and economic and legal and labor laws or practice in different countries. Okay, that will be called as what, international HRM. So whenever in any of the organization, okay, that different kind of employees are working, and we are dealing with some important HR related activities with respect to procurement, allocation, and utilization of human resource by means of considering Okay, just see over here: procurement, induction, training, allocation, planning, compensation, and employee relation and performance management influenced by the type of employees. Okay, the type of employees and business environment. Okay, business environment means here the countries. Okay, political, economic, legal, and labor laws or practices in some different countries. So here we need to consider the socio-political, cultural, legal, economic environment within that particular country. Okay, and allocating procurement, allocating and utilization of this different kind of human resource and managing that human resource at international level, that is called as what? International HRM. So by means of considering our Morgan's IHRM model, okay, there are total three aspects that has been considered. The first one has been that is called as a different kind of countries. Okay, so let us see what exactly the different kind of countries are. Okay, the first one is what called as host country. Okay, the second one is called as parent country, and the another one is called as third country. Now what does that host country mean? Host country means wherever the subsidiary may be located. Okay, okay, any of the organization that those who have started any manufacturing operations but their subsidiaries means their another manufacturing plant has been located, okay, in another country. In that case, okay, then it will be called as an host country. Then parent country means the firm, okay, where the firm is headquarter, wherever the headquarter of the firm has been located. Suppose say for in India, any manufacturing firm, they are having their operations within India itself. Okay, so their headquarter has been located in India, so that's why for themselves the parent country would be, okay, India itself. The third country means these are called as other countries or third countries. Okay, that may be called as what? Source of labor, finance, and other inputs. So any other country, those who are being supplying, okay, any some particular form of labor, finance, or any other form of input, okay, to the either parent country or host country, okay, for any kind of operation, then that countries are called as third countries. Okay, then the different kind of employees in this international firm. Okay, let us see here. SCN means what? Called as host country national. This is called as host country national. Okay, PCN stands for parent country national, and TCN stands for third country national. So in IHRM processes, okay, here we are dealing with the HR processes of procurement, okay, allocation and utilization of human resource with respect to different types of employees in a multinational firm, okay, in different countries, by means of managing socio political, cultural, legal, and labor laws, okay, within that particular country. Okay, here we will call that completely, okay, the IHRM. Okay, now the same figure has been discussed over here. Okay, so what is exactly the IHRM that has been described in this figure? Okay, IHRM is an interplay of HR activities between three groups. Okay, in IHRM we are dealing with three types of groups. Okay, the first one is called as type of employees. Type of employees means, okay, SCN, PCN, and TCN. Host country national, parent country national, and third country national. Okay, here we are dealing with the multinational companies, okay, and their stages of development and its operating philosophy. So here we should have to know more, okay, what is the appropriate strategy of these multinational companies and how does they are spreading their businesses, and overall working how does what form of working philosophy that they were adopted. We will also include business environment of these different countries. In case of business environment, okay, we should have to know more and more about their socio political, legal, and cultural background of that of these different countries, and managing that overall activities by means of using the HR processes wherever we are using procurement, allocation, training, compensation, and performance management of these international employees. That time it is called as what? International HRM. and that's why IHRM would be called as an interplay between, okay, HR activities, okay, between three groups: type of employees, multinational companies, and business environment of these different countries. So in this way we are defining the IHRM and the Morgan's model of IHRM. Now what is called as an expatriate? Okay, expatriate is nothing but the kind of employees those are working in the organization at international level. Okay, so any kind of foreign employees, okay, those who are being residing in certain countries, okay, those are called as what? Expatriate. So expatriate are nothing but the international assignees. Okay, they are PCN, either PCN means parent country national, from the parent country from the parent country operation. TCN transferred to either headquarter or any subsidiary. Okay, either these kind of expatriate, either those are being assigned some particular job, okay, or they will be transferred either in headquarter or any other subsidiary wherever it has been located. And SCN, okay, host country national, they has been transferred to the parent country itself. Okay, so these are the different forms of employees, okay, that we are dealing with. Okay, and these are called as what? Expatriate. Now let us see this figure. Okay, now this is what parent country, and those who are having their own operations over here, okay, generally called as headquarter operation. Okay, people those who are belonging to this parent country, okay, those are generally called as natives. Okay, people those are residing in these countries. Okay, so either they will be transferred to any other subsidiary, okay, that will be called as PCN, parent country national, they are being transferred. Okay, from parent country, from another country, say for example country A and country B, okay, that we are taking. Okay, these are the other countries exactly. Okay, but the company has started their subsidiary operations in country A. Okay, now from country A, any of the employee has been transferred to the parent country itself. Okay, that employee would become SCN. Okay, host country national. Okay, so similarly in case of suppose say country B. Okay, even in case of country B, from any particular parent country any employee has been transferred to country B, then it should be called as PCN. Let us see over PCN over here. Okay, uh, and from any other country, those who are being say for example country B, okay, any employee those are being transferred to the headquarter, say for example for training purposes. Okay, in that case that will be called as what? SCN, host country national. Now these are the third countries. Okay, as we discussed earlier. Okay, third countries, this is called as third country national. From either suppose say from country B to country A. Okay, country A to country B. Okay, if the companies those are having any particular trained employees, okay, that trained employees has been transferred from, suppose it is a parent company. Okay, from parent company one of the employees has obtained a training, and those have been located in country A. Okay, so in country A has been located over there. Okay, say for example any kind of incidences have happened in country B, so that employee can be transferred. Okay, so that employee can be transferred to country B for particular limited period of time, then it should be called as what? TCN, third country national. Okay, for any reason, suppose from country B to country A it has been transferred, then it should be also called as TCN. Okay, so in this way we are going to manage these international employees. So as we will discuss earlier, okay, these different kind of employees. Okay, let us see and how does it has been defined. So this is called as what? Types of employees, and maybe it is called as what? Expatriate. The spell, how to spell that expatriate? EXPATRIATES, expatriates. The first kind of employee has been called as what? Host country nationals. So generally they are called as host country employees. Okay, these are also called as an expatriate. Okay, these are called as expatriate, these are called as natives, and these are called as non-home and host employees. Okay, now who is exactly the expatriate? Let us see over here. Employees belonging to the nation in which the subsidiary has been located. Now wherever the subsidiary has been located, okay, any employee, those who are being working in any company where the subsidiary has been located, that time that particular employee has been called as host country employee or host country nationals. So in host country national, okay, lesser cost would be there. Okay, preference of host country. Okay, if any employee has been preferred that they are familiar with that socio-cultural background, okay, related with the government, they are having some knowledge. Okay, knowledge of the environment, maybe that employee having a knowledge with respect to that employee, and language facility, that employee would be feasible for themselves. Okay, they are comfortable with that international language. So in case of host country national, okay, employees those who are belonging to the nation in which the subsidiary has been located, that time it is called as host country national or host country employees. The another kind of employee has been called as home country employees. Okay, home country employees means generally called as parent country national, parent country. Okay, in case of parent country, their headquarters are situated. Okay, so employees belonging to the home country, say for example any of the company, those who are having an headquarters, suppose say in India. Okay, and they are employing Indian employees, so for these Indian employees are nothing but host home country employees. Okay, so employees belonging to the home country of the firm wherever the corporate headquarter has been situated, that time it is called as parent country national or home country employees. Okay, in case of home country, okay, talent has been available within the company. Okay, and greater control has been there in case of home country companies. Okay, companies experiences has been very wider. Okay, because of knowledge and skills has been very widely available. Okay, as well as mobility. Okay, good mobility of employees has been there. Okay, within the firm. Okay, and experiences provided to the corporate executives. Okay, that would be quite good, particularly due to home country environment. The third kind of employees, that is called as third country employees. Okay, or this is called as third country nationals. Now in case of third country national, okay, employees those are these are the employees those are not belonging to any parent country, remember. Okay, so these are the employees those who are being belonging to any other country, but they are being posted in some any other country. Okay, so these are the employees who are not from the home country or host country, but are employed at subsidiaries or corporate headquarters. So these are the third country nationals or third country employees. They have been posted for any other country wherever the subsidiary has been situated, or they were also transferred to wherever the headquarter has been situated. Maybe for training purposes, such kind of things can be implemented. Say for example, any American MNC which has been subsidiary in India and may employ a French person as a CEO to the subsidiary. The Frenchman employed in the third country employee. Okay. Suppose say for example any MNC. Okay, those are operating suppose in India. Okay, it is an American company and their headquarters have been located in America suppose, and they were employed some any French employee over there as a CEO of the Indian company. Those are being called as a subsidiary. Okay, now that particular person has been called as a third country employee or third country national, particularly. Okay, for that particular company. Okay, so in case of third country employees, okay, broader experience has been made available to these third country employees because of their international exposure. Okay, they are having a very international outlook over there, and multilingualism has been there. They are familiar with the different kind of languages and socio-cultural background, and such a kind of employees has been located in any other country. Okay, because they are quite well experienced enough, okay, to manage the things at any international level. Now difference between domestic HRM and international HRM. So as we were discussed earlier, okay, the IHRM related activities, okay, wherever we are dealing with procurement, allocation and management of that human resource at international level, that is called as international HRM. Okay, Similarly, at domestic level, whenever we are operating that HR related function at national level, okay, wherever we are conducting planning, directing, controlling, and other management manpower planning related activities with respect to procurement, allocation of employees, training and development, performance appraisal, selection of employees, okay, at national level, that time it is called as a domestic HRM. Now whenever we are talking about the difference, what is the primary difference in between that domestic HRM and international HRM, let us see this figure. Okay, domestic and international activities of HRM functions, okay, they will primarily differ on the basis of that different parameters that we will also discuss further. Okay, that will be differ either on the basis of the socio-cultural environment within the countries. Okay, say for example within the home country means domestic level. Okay, many of the employees are being familiar over here. Okay, wherever in case of international level, okay, the socio-cultural environment will be differ. The industry or industry within which the multinational is primarily involved, okay, which particular company that those who are being involved in the operations of the multinational enterprises. Okay, particularly say for example India has been incorporated various rules and regulations just after the globalization after 1990s. So many multinational corporations that they were set up in India. Okay, but prior to that, okay, the situation was different. Okay, so here we need to find out that how the multiculturalism environment has been growing within the country. Extent of reliance of the multinationals on its home country or domestic market. Now in while doing any kind of businesses, okay, how much extent that we are being relying on the either multinational enterprises or domestic enterprises. So there is a difference over here. Okay, how the individual country they are giving the prime importance to promote either suppose say domestic businesses or international businesses within the country. Then attitude of senior management, okay, that attitude of senior management can be managed over here very appropriately to promote the businesses, okay, by means of using effective HRM related activities. So how do you consider that employee, okay, in within the domestic level and as well as an international level, where while working in international level, okay, there is a quite difference to deal with the international employees, whereas in domestic level, okay, most of the employees are quite familiar with the business environment, wherever in case of international employee, okay, that international employee they are initially not familiar with the environment within the any of the host country. So many organizations are directing their activities so that how to manage that expatriate or employees within their firms. It should be also differ in case of complexity involved in the operating in different countries and employing different national categories of employees. Somewhat this kind of handling the international employees sometimes it will be more tedious because managing their operations requires some different sort of expertise. So multiculturalism, okay, multilinguisticism has been required, okay, to deal with the special kind of employees those are being belonging to some any other countries, whereas in case of home country many of the employees are familiar with the business environment. Now these are the differences in between domestic HRM and international HRM, and these differences has been there due to their so different kind of activities that can be managed either domestic level and international level. As domestic HRM can be done at national level, whereas international HRM can be done at international level wherever we are managing the international employees. Here there is no international employee would be there, okay, in case of domestic HRM, and we our activities could not be directed towards them. Managing the employees belonging to one nations, okay, as we are dealing with the same organization that is operating within the home country itself, so there will be employees those are belonging to only one nation. Okay, here there will not be a possibility that many of the employees may be possibly that they are belonging to different nations and they belong to different socio-cultural background. Managing limited number of HRM related activities can be there in case of domestic HRM, wherever in case of international HRM there are different activities would be there that may be related with expatriate management. Managing the expatriate means the international employees. Some kind of approach, okay, that is called as narrow approach would be there, because many of the home country employees, they are familiar with the socio-cultural environment, okay. In case of international HRM, we do require more and more border aspects. We need to think about how to relocate that particular international employee, okay, within the particular firm. Lesser changes in the workforce management, okay. Here do we will manage our management information system, and there will not be too much changes over there. As in case of international HRM, okay, here different sort of employees and workforce mix is there. So that workforce would have some different kind of experiences, and okay, they belong to their socio cultural background, okay, that may tell some different things, ideas, and many other they would communicate to their higher authorities, okay. And all these expatriate, okay, they are making some changes into the organizations time to time, and that may be varies to the organizations to organization. In case of domestic HRM, less complicated due to less influence from the external environment, okay. Domestically, we could not implement lot of changes, okay, as there is no changes in the domestic business environment rapidly. Whenever any of the firm those are operating internationally, okay, they have been primarily experience lots of changes in the socio cultural differences in between the employees, and they need to manage these socio-cultural distance and other institutional factors very well, okay, by managing their ISRM related activities across the international level. And there is no external influence, okay. There is no control of any kind of headquarters over there, or any no subsidiaries are here over here. So lots of there would not be too much pressure over in case of that domestic HRM. But in case of international HRM, okay, as here we are dealing with international assignees and headquarters and subsidiaries, so we do find out that there is lots of communication and would be there in case of international HRM, and there will be more risk would be there that arises due to that external influences. So these are the primary differences in between domestic HRM and international HRM. Then factors influencing the global work environment, okay. Now whenever we are managing the overall international operations over here, okay, we do find out lots of difficulties over there to any international firms. Working domestically would be quite means simple, as we are familiar with the most of the business functions and other rules and regulations of the home country. But wherever we are working in any international organization, we do find out there are lots of differences over there in the global work environment. So we do how do that we can manage our IHRM related activities for the effective survival and growth of the firm, okay. So we do find out that there are some external forces that can be managed very well. So, okay, say for example forces of change would be there. We do find out there is a global competition, okay, and that global competition would be there due to mergers, acquisition, and other strategic alliances of the international firms. Organizations are structuring day by day, and we do require some different organization structure, okay, due to heavy pressure from the headquarters, okay. We do have to manage the subsidiaries related operations as per the requirement of the headquarters. And another kind of important change has been there due to technology. Advances in technology and telecommunication has made a very important role, particularly in managing the global work environment. So these are the very important factors that has been responsible for the global work environment, wherever we do require some sort of expertise in our international day-to-day business operations over there. Simultaneously, organizations are also focusing on some particular kind of employees that they are being expecting to their firms, and they will invite the talents in their organizations, and they are working on talent acquisitions. So means all these multinational enterprises, M&E we will call them as multinational corporations, okay, they are also change their approach, okay, from rigid to flexibility, okay, local responsiveness, okay, has been increased. Say for example, how does Amazon has been operating in India, okay, so making some changes in the menu offerings as well as product offerings are in there, so, and they are understanding the local customers and providing the good facilities and services to the need and requirement of the customers. Knowledge sharing has been there, and competence transfer has been there. So lots of good management practices has been enabled by the multinational corporation itself, okay, and these multinational corporations has been directed to for the flow of goods and services to the appropriate group of customers very well, and to serve these customers, okay, they are utilizing the human resource very appropriately. Simultaneously they are being focusing on managerial responses, so they are continuously developing the talent pool over there within their organizations and developing the global mindsets, okay, so as to serve the larger group of customers within the minimum period of time, okay, so that's why they were used a very effective form of information systems also. Informal control mechanism would be there, they are using some other form of different mechanism to control their operations, okay. Horizontal communication or lateral communication, that becoming the very good idea to get the knowledge and providing the talent and other skills to the to perform the different operations within their enterprises. Cross border and virtual teams would be there, that they were set up, okay, so that they can handle their multiple responsibilities, okay, that can be related with any other international firms, and international assignment, okay, that can be related with any other kind of task and other kind of duties that are being involved in any other enterprises. So that overall deals with the global work environment. If you are ready with to work with this global work environment, okay, you develop your strategy how to cope up with this global work environment, okay, you will definitely get the job even also, okay. So these are the factors that will be influencing the global work environment. Then HRM complexity, okay. Why we will call that international HRM would be a complex phenomena, and how does it will be differ from the domestic HRM even also, okay, somewhat difficult. It is not too much difficult, okay, that should be difficult either on the basis of that socio-cultural environment. So cultural and as the cultural environment of the host country or other countries, those who are involved in this international business activity, they are deeper, okay, and many of the employees, those who are not familiar with the socio-cultural background, to handle that particular employee, those who are belonging to that socio-cultural background, because sometimes it would be tedious for any of the organizations. So we will find out some sort of complexities over here. Industries with which the multinational enterprise is primarily involved. So some industries, they are being expertise in some particular kind of goods and other kind of technologies, okay. So how to deal with these technologies, how to deal with the employees, those who are being expertise in this in some particular kind of technologies, that can be a matter over here. And how to retain that particular industries employees within the domestic firm sometimes, okay, that can be the difficulty over here. Oh, sorry, an international company over there. Extent to which the multinational enterprises relies on the headquartered domestic market, okay, and many of the policies and other kind of framework has been primarily formulated at the headquarters, okay. So how does the multinational corporation, they are relying on the headquarters domestic market, okay, and if the headquarter domestic market working very well, and when eventually that they will start their other business related functions, say for example exporting and other related activities, that depends on the domestic market, okay, wherever any multinational enterprise has been operating. Attitude of the senior management would be there. Okay, how does the senior management or top management, that they will believe that, okay, how does that international assignees will work within the organization. So sometimes it will be a matter of question as well as the discussion. But nowadays wherever very sophisticated forms of information system has been made available, okay, and the time to time reporting can be made available, so this problem can be get resolved very well also. International HRM activities, as we will discuss, okay, said that we are managing international taxation, international relocation of an employee from one country to another country, orientation of that particular employee. Okay, here we need to give them some sort of training and allocation of that particular job and relocation of that employee in international country. Administrative services of the expatriate. What form of administrative powers has been given to the expatriate? Because if the expatriate has been familiar with the work environment, then we can assign some administrative powers. Post government relation. Okay, government relations has we need to manage even also wherever we are operating our multinational enterprises. Language translation services. Okay, here we do require translators. Okay, those who are being familiar with the other countries' languages. So that's why sometimes we do find out that there is some sort of complexity to communicate and to negotiate with the international employees. So these are the basic difficulties, but that can be also get resolved if you are familiar with the work environment and you are having some kind of multiculturalism, multilingualism knowledge. Okay, particularly you if you handle the employee very well by means of using your appropriate foreign languages, then you can handle these international employee very well and you can resolve the issue very appropriately. International relocation of employees means expatriate. Now how to reallocate the employees of these international firms? So these are the basic activities that we are considering and defining their overall compensation package depending on them, how to convince that particular international assignees or expatriate in any international firms. So arranging the pre-departure training prior to placement on the job at international level, we need to provide some pre-departure training to them. Okay, providing immigration and travel details. So lots of information has been there with respect to relocation of the jobs. Okay, and how does that they are being going to relocate and how that they are being transferred. The company will provide them lots of benefits with respect to immigration services, and as well as travel details has been provided by the company itself. Okay, and company will take lots of initiative in this regard to retain the international employee, providing housing, shopping, medical care, recreation and schooling related information of their child. Okay, that information has been already also provided by the international company, okay, to their international assignees. Finalizing their compensation details wherever we are talking about their overseas salary. Okay, in what way that they will receive their overseas salary. Okay, determination of overseas allowances, what form of allowances that they will be applicable in that particular overseas country, and what form of taxation can be included in their international compensation packages that can be included. And that all these activities can be integrated very well in IHRM related activities on the worldwide basis. Okay, because many of the international firms, say for example Amazon, Google, Microsoft, okay, Apple, that they are retaining these international employees across the varieties of country. Say for example Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they are making their product available in more than 200 countries. So how does that they are retaining their international employees? That can be primarily depends on their overall international HRM policies and how it has been controlled from their headquarters. So that's all for our today's session. Thank you very much. So they I have been included some sort of books and websites that have been related with the IHRM. Please try to make a correction over here. So these are the IHRM websites. Just try to refer this IHRM related website, and these are the books. Okay, there is only one book that is available in our library, but you will also refer some books that are available from the internet. So that book is called as International HRM by Macmillan. And the author is Gupta SC. So that's all for our today's session. Thank you, students.